Hi guys, welcome to Litgyan. Let's discuss something about F.R. Lewis. Well, I've already made a video on Lewis, but it had some audio issues, which is why I'm making it again. Let's get started. F.R. Lewis lived from 1895 to 1978. His complete name is Frank Raymond Lewis. He was an English critic from the early to mid 20th century. These are his most important works of criticism. You can note them down. The most important of them all is The Great Tradition that came in the year 1948. We must have had it in our college syllabus. Lewis's criticism can be grouped into four chronological stages. First, he talked about poetry and then he moved on to fiction or novel. Then he talked about educational and social issues, and in the final stage, he talks about philosophy. We will see each one by one. Beginning with the first stage, that is poetry, the first important work in this is New Bearings in English Poetry that came in the year 1932. It is also his first work of criticism. It is concerned primarily with re examining poetry from the 17th to 20th centuries. G.M. Hopkins, Ezra Pound, W.B. Yeats, and T.S. Eliot are adjudged as the most significant poets. Do you remember these names? Lewis attacked the Victorian poetic ideal, suggesting that 19th century poetry sought the consciously poetical and showed a separation of thought and feeling and a divorce from the real world. The influence of T.S. Eliot is easily identifiable in his criticism of Victorian poetry, and Lewis acknowledged this, saying in The Common Pursuit that it was Mr. Eliot who made us fully conscious of the weakness of that tradition. So basically, in this work, he is criticizing and examining the poets from 17th to 20th centuries. He has listed out some important poets and attacked the Victorian poetic ideal under the influence of T.S. Eliot. Moving on, the next work in this stage is Revaluation that came in the year 1936. And this work undertakes the study of post Shakespearean poetry. Milton is reassessed and found unexhilarating. Carey held superior to Herrick, and Pope is restored to his rightful position. Quite unfair for Milton. Moving on to the next stage, in which he has talked about fiction or novel, the most important work is The Great Tradition that came in the year 1948. It included Jane Austen, George Eliot, Henry James, Joseph Conrad, and D.H. Lawrence. Do remember these names. He excluded major authors such as Charles Dickens, Lawrence Sterne, and Thomas Hardy from his canon. He characterized Dickens as a mere entertainer, but eventually, following the revaluation of Dickens by Edmund Wilson and George Orwell, Lewis changed his position, publishing Dickens the Novelist in 1970. We all know Dickens is a major novelist, and sidelining him as a mere entertainer was very unfair on his part. So, Dickens was given his due respect in entire work called Dickens the Novelist in the year 1970. Another work in the second stage is D.H. Lawrence, a novelist that came in the year 1955. Moving on to the third stage, in which he has talked about educational and social issues, the works are Culture and the Environment, 1933, then for Continuity, that also came in the year 1933. It is a selection of Scrutiny essays. Scrutiny is a magazine by F.R. Lewis. We will discuss it further. For Continuity stressed the importance of an informed and discriminating, highly trained intellectual elite whose existence within university English departments would help preserve the cultural continuity of English life and literature. Then comes Education and the University. In the year 1944, Lewis argued that there is a prior cultural achievement of language. Language is not a detachable instrument of thought and communication. It is somewhat similar to the Sapir-Whorf hypothesis. Do read that. For Lewis views criticism but as a step in the larger process of education, which in turn is a step in the promotion of humane living. Moving on to the final stage, in which he has talked about philosophy, there are two important works in this stage. First is The Living Principle, English as a Discipline of Thought, and Thoughts, Words, and Creativity, Art and Thought in Lawrence. Now let's talk about the magazine founded by F.R. Lewis. It was a quarterly review, and it ran a little over 21 years from May 1932 to October 1953. He used scrutiny as a vehicle for new Cambridge criticism, upholding rigorous intellectual standards and attacking the dilettante elitism he believed to characterize the Bloomsbury group. Scrutiny provided a forum for identifying important contemporary work and reviewing the traditional canon by serious criteria. Lewis's primary concern is culture. Culture, according to him, is a way of living ordered and patterned in accordance with some ideal of a civilized community. A citizen must be trained to discriminate between true culture and false culture, and to resist the latter, he must know what true culture is. Moving on to the lecture given by F.R. Lewis, that is Two Cultures, the significance of C.P. Snow, in response to C.P. Snow's The Two Culture. In The Two Culture, he argued that the practitioners of the scientific and humanistic disciplines should have some significant understanding of each other, and that a lack of knowledge of 20th century physics was comparable to an ignorance of Shakespeare. Lewis didn't like his view at all, and he attacked Snow, but his attack was kind of a ad hominem attack, and instead of attacking the work of Snow, he attacked Snow's intelligence and abilities, and which is why he was widely decried in the British press and also by public figures such as Lord Boothby and Lionel Trilling. Now, Lewis has also given the concept of third realm. Lewis introduced the idea of the third realm as a name for the method of existence of literature. So, let's see what it is. Works which are not private like a dream or public in the sense of something that can be tripped over but exist in human minds as a work of collaborative reconstitution. So, whatever we read, a piece of literature, whenever we read it, it stays in our mind and for long. So, I believe this is what Lewis terms as third realm. Now, let's see what all criticism he faced. Lewis's conduct led to a breach with T.S. Eliot, who wrote, I so strongly disagreed with Dr. Lewis during the last days of scrutiny and objected to his attacks and innuendos about people I knew and respected. I think it is a pity he became so intemperate in his views and was extravagant in his admirations as I had, in the earlier stages of the magazine, felt great sympathy for its editor. Tom Sharpe, in his novel The Great Pursuit, depicts a ludicrous series of events ending in the hero teaching Lewisite criticism as a religion in the American Bible Belt. In the mock epic heroic poem Peregrine Pike by Clive James, the eponymous hero studies literature under the prophet F.R. Looseleaf, which is a pun on Lewis's name, at Downing College, Cambridge. In her novel Possession, A.S. Byatt, who was herself taught by Lewis, wrote of one of her characters, Blackadder, as I quote, Lewis did to Blackadder what he did to serious students. He showed him the terrible, the magnificent importance and urgency of English literature and simultaneously deprived him of any confidence in his own capacity to contribute to or change it. In his autobiography, The Fry Chronicles, Stephen Fry described Lewis as a sanctimonious prick of only parochial significance and said that Lewis had an intense suspicious propensity to explode in wrath and anathematize anyone who dared disagree with him. The literary critic John Cross accuses Lewis of narrowness, spitefulness, dogmatism, distortion, omission, and strident overstatement. Well, Lewis not only criticized, he was also criticized as well as hated. So, that is it for today. You can leave your doubts in the comment section below. Till then, happy learning.